What's happening with it, man? It's your boy Profhit EmCee back again for another episode of Books and Beats. Today we are doing a special episode. We are going back. We're going back in time, going all the way back to middle school days. We're going back to a book I read in middle school called Lord of the Flies by William Golden. This is a real classic, man. This is a real flashback, throwback, and I chose this book because what better book to choose when you're talking about pillaging than Lord of the Flies. If you're familiar with the book, you know the story, you know what happens, and you know exactly why. And once you get a chance to hear the album, you'll know, like, this is a perfect fit. But yeah, you know, essentially this is a book about a bunch of kids getting left and lost on an island during World War, and they're left to their own devices, no parents, no grown-ups, and at first it's like a child's dream, and eventually human nature takes its course, things go awry, clicks get clicky, and you know, there's some sad parts to it too, you know, if you get invested in the book and the characters. And we just gonna jump right into it. One of the passages I'm gonna read is from the first chapter, because of course we are here celebrating the upcoming release of Solo Mob Chapter 1, The Pillage. So why not read from the first chapter? This is page 31. They found a piglet caught in a curtain of creepers, throwing itself at the elastic traces in all the madness of extreme terror. Its voice was thin, needle-sharp, and insistent. The three boys rushed over, and Jack drew his knife again with a flourish. He raised his arm in the air. There came a pause, a hiatus. The pig continued to scream, and the creepers to jerk, and the blade continued to flash at the end of a bony arm. The pause was only long enough for them to understand what an enormity the downward stroke would be. Then the piglet tore loose from the creepers and scurried into the undergrowth. They were left looking at each other and at the place of terror. Jack's face was white under the freckles. He noticed that he still held the knife aloft and brought his arm down, replacing the blade in the sheath. Then they all three laughed ashamedly and began to climb back to the track. I was choosing a place, said Jack. I was just waiting for a moment to decide where to stab him. You should stick a pig, said Ralph fiercely. They always talk about sticking a pig. You cut a pig's throat to let the blood out, said Jack. Otherwise you can't eat the meat. Why didn't you? They knew very well why he hadn't. Because of the enormity of the knife descending and cutting into a living flesh, because of the unbearable blood. I was going to, said Jack. He was ahead of them, and they could not see his face. I was choosing a place. Next time. He snatched his knife out of the sheath and slammed it into the tree trunk. Next time there would be no mercy. He looked around fiercely, daring them to contradict. Then they broke out into the sunlight, and for a while they were there, busy finding and devouring food as they moved down the scar toward the platform and the meeting. That is towards the end of chapter 1, page 31. And I feel like it's pivotal in the future of the story and how it develops, because you have these boys, they're kind of finding themselves and realizing where they are and the responsibility of it, and it's a foreshadowing of what's to come. And you know, when you talk about pillage, we talk about human nature and how if sometimes we are allowed to, the worst part of ourselves can come. And to me, when I read this story, you know, growing up in the environment I grew up in, it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's not just us. It's not just how we are, our upbringing. You know, anybody can be susceptible to this. And I feel like, you know, the time that it was published, it probably was jarring for a lot of people, but, you know, with society and how things have taken place, it's not a unreasonable premise or reality. Um, and yeah, you know, this book brings back a lot of memories, and it's just one of the ones that really kind of led me on my journey in being an avid reader and diving in books. Um, and as far as, you know, the album, we feel like a lot of this is relative.
And we are back again with another Books and Beats with my boy Profhit. I'm your boy Big O. And Lord of the Flies, a
Yes,
classic.
sir. Classic.
Knowing that the little lost boys, the people just like us,
Exactly.
can just, you know, the worst in us can happen to anybody.
Exactly.
But watching it grow with kids and us being kids and just thinking that maybe it was to adults, it's also to kids too. Just like you said, but man, the occult classic, Lord of the Flies, that passage that you read where he says, I wonder why he didn't, and then he pauses and then he goes, I know why he didn't. Mm-hmm. Right? And then that one moment where he's like, you know what, next time there'll be no mercy. And to the Pillage for y'all album, the mentality of pillaging comes from different aspects. It don't just have to be a soldier, right? It doesn't have to be somebody following some rule. Mm-hmm. It could just be trying to find something of complete chaos or anarchy, and
Exactly.
and you just have to pillage.
You just got to.
So what angle is Solo Mob coming from when it comes to pillaging? Or what are some of the angles, I would ask?
I feel like some of the angles that we're coming from are political, in the form of satire, philosophical, sometimes blunt and straightforward, like, you know what I mean? I think there's so many forms of pillage and how we coming through with what we doing. So, you know, I feel like the angles that we take with Pillage are philosophical, political, satirical, and sometimes just downright blunt and honest and just getting to it and going in, you know. With each member, we have our own point of view and take on things and how we approach our lyricism and songwriting, and everything is just a cohesion and blend. But you know, we really just celebrate our differences and just give it to you raw, and in a way that I feel like has not been done in hip hop and rap and music in general in a long time in an album. And yeah, we really push that line, you know, that hard line of pillage and causing havoc and making people uncomfortable. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things with this book and what it did when it was published and what it's done in our album is just, you know, making people uncomfortable, talking about things and saying things that, you know, is not politically correct. You feel me? And I'm pretty sure they ain't letting kids read this no more in middle school or any grade school. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of like that forbidden fruit, that thing that you not supposed to have, that you know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like that's why I chose this book to drive home and for this episode of Books and Beats when we're talking about Chapter 1, The Pillage. You know what I mean? There's no better thing. Like, this is the most underlying basis of that. You feel me?
All right. For sure. So, another episode of Books and Beats closed. Let them know where we can find you and what's going on.
Yeah, so you can find me on all platforms of social media and streaming services at Profhit, Profhit, DMC, THEEE, EmCee. YouTube.com/Profhit, Profhit. You can check out our current videos from some of the release songs of the album. You can check out some more of these Books and Beats episodes, and you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you find your content. You Google us too, man. You know what I mean? And if you feeling froggy, you want to jump into something, a cult classic, go ahead and get this book, man. I promise you, it's the one.
All right. It's been another episode. I'm your host, Big O.
Yes, sir.
It's your boy, Profhit. We out.
Easy.
My presence is a present, little bitch. I just came from Provolone, incredible, no frozone like Home Alone. I hit your ass with the iron, little bitch. My homie not gay, but I heard he walked with a switch. My dog not normal, we something like Lilo and Stitch. I would've went the OJ route if I was Will Smith. So I think you can build your legacy and naked tarnish shit. You can't leave the hoe, cause your wages, they gon' garnish them. Tell your girl she pretty, or she turned to Little Kim. That pussy got me cutting up, no scissors, need some trim. I'm tryna bone like a femur. My demeanor have her cleaner. Have you seen it like the shy lights? Fuck her own camera, watch the back just like some highlights. Lot of money, pure joy is what I see for my life. It's the Pillage, bitch, we make the rules and live the high life.
Bad bitches skinny dipping off the coast in the south of France. We. Don't fret, mon frere, walking on there. Throw some money at her derriere. No telling where we end up if we keep going this pace. Money long as the Golden State. Patience is a